A young boy falls into a coma, and while his family struggles to cope, they experience strange, unexplainable happenings around the house. Thinking that it's something paranormal, they discover that it's not the house that's haunted. Hello and welcome back to Fatal Film, a watch-along horror movie video series where every 2 weeks I give you guys a horror movie, and then we sit down and we talk about it. This week, we watched the 2011 horror film Insidious, directed by James Wan. What a brilliantly unbalanced horror film. Seriously, this movie has so many things going for it. A unique concept dealing with astral projection and some really truly unique, bizarre moments that have really stuck with me after all of these years. And then in the back half of the film, it tonally does a complete 180. And then the final act is just absolutely insane. There's a lot to unpack here. Let's just dive right into it. A young family, Josh and Renee and their 3 kids, move into a new home. Only days after moving in, their son Dalton doesn't wake up in the morning. Doctors are perplexed and can't find a reason or cause for the coma. They're not even sure that it's even a coma. Josh and Renee thought it may have been induced by a fall down a ladder the day before, but again, the doctors are stumped. Fast forward 3 months later and Dalton, still in a coma, now has a home setup. The entire ordeal has taken a toll on Josh and Renee. Josh spending late hours at work, pretty much voluntarily as a way for him to kind of deal with the whole situation. Renee, on the other hand, while at home watching the kids, Dalton there in a coma, starts to experience some pretty strange and unusual stuff. Seeing people, hearing voices in the baby monitor. Some of these moments, some of these scares, they're super unique, they're super chilling, and even after all of these years, I still remember them. I still remembered all of them watching this again. Despite being 8 or 9 years since the last time I've seen this film, which I think is a testament to the effectiveness of some of these shots. The scene with the baby monitor, or seeing the silhouette of the man behind the crib in another scene, there's something about it. You know what I think it is? I think it's the design of the ghosts. They don't try to make them look otherworldly. They just look like people. Well, except for that Darth Maul demon, but we'll get there in a bit. Renee explains her encounters to Josh and expresses her desire to get out of the house, which, at the time, she believes was haunted. The problem is, Josh doesn't really believe her. I mean, he says he does, but I don't think it's until, they have this big paranormal event with the security alarm going off in the house, and then he kind of starts to believe that something strange is going on. So they end up moving into a new house, but that doesn't exactly solve the problem. Literally the first day after moving, while Renee is home alone with the baby and coma Dalton, Renee encounters this old man, young boy ghost hybrid. This scene is so insanely bizarre. Renee has a record playing in the house. She goes outside to take out the trash, and while she's outside, the record switches to that damn Tiny Tim song. She looks into the window and sees a young boy dancing. This scene is so strange, and it's not even so much scary as it is just so bizarre. That kind of makes it creepy in itself, I guess. And this damn song, it just makes the scene. You ever see Tiny Tim perform this song? It's kind of creepy in itself.
Tiptoe through the window, by the window, that is where all become tiptoe.
Having had enough, Renee starts looking to people for help, such as the church, but then Josh's mother explains that she experienced similar things when Josh was a child, recalling a story of a ghost that haunted her son, the fucking Bride in Black. And let me tell you, the Bride in Black, this chick, she is scary, man. She's terrifying. She's actually so scary. And she comes back as the main villain, main entity ghost, I guess, in Insidious 2. And while Josh's mother is telling the story and giving us the backstory of Josh and the Bride in Black, when you're least expecting it, bam! Fucking Darth Maul just pokes his head in. This is my movie, damn it. This ain't about the Bride in Black. And you know what? This scene is kind of hilarious because it's such an odd placement for this jump scare and you really don't expect it. But I must say, when I first saw this in theaters back in 2011, this scene was kind of ruined by the trailers. So Josh's mother calls upon the help of a paranormal medium of sorts, Elise, who helped her son Josh when he was younger. Along with her paranormal investigation team, comprised of Tucker and Specs, who are absolutely ridiculous. They're basically the comic relief in the film, and they kind of mark like a turning point for the film as well, because everything after this point, the movie really stops taking itself too seriously. There's so many like oddly placed comic relief scenes, fucking Tucker pulling out the bigger flashlight. It's like, what? It's really strange, it's really bizarre, but at the same time, I don't hate them. Elise senses immediately that there are spirits present that are basically targeting Dalton, including a pretty creepy scene where Elise is describing what she sees to Specs as he draws it out. It's kind of neat. And then we get some much needed exposition as Elise kind of explains what she believes is happening. Dalton has a special ability to leave his physical body while he dreams, astral projection, and enter a realm not meant for the living, the further. Only this time Dalton traveled too far and was lured away, leaving his body an empty vessel, which spirits can sense and are targeting Dalton's empty body to possess it. But not just spirits, a demon as well. The man with fire on his face. Let's just fucking call him Darth Maul. It's also revealed that as a child, Josh too had the ability to astral project, which was kind of hinted at earlier in the film. They attempt to communicate with Dalton by performing what's kind of like a seance. Elise wears this weird gas mask thing. It's a pretty odd scene. After the seance ends kind of violently, it's decided that the only way to save Dalton is to send Josh into the further after him, because he too can astral project. Here we get like an extended sequence inside of the further, and there's some creepy ass people inside the further. And eventually Josh locates his son being held captive by the Darth Maul demon. He has like a lair. I'm not gonna lie, it was really hard to take this scene seriously. He's got like this lair, and he's up there sharpening his claws, listening to Tiny Tim on vinyl. It's so strange, it's just not scary. And it's all a little too easy. Josh just unshackles Dalton and they scramble away and they escape. Dalton makes it back to his real life body and he wakes up from his coma, woo! But then there's a surprise twist, and I'm not gonna lie, I 100% saw this twist coming back when I first originally saw this film. On their way back to their physical bodies, inside the further, Josh encounters the bride in black just before reaching his body. Instead of rushing back to his body, Josh kind of confronts and faces the bride in black who haunted him as a child, and just kind of yells at her. Kind of puzzling behavior, and sure enough, when Josh wakes back up, all is great, but Elise senses something is off about Josh. And when they have a moment alone together, confronts him and snaps a photo of him, revealing his true identity. She got choked the fuck out. She gets killed right then and there, looking like she just watched the Ring videotape. She waited till they were alone to do it. I really don't think she thought that one through. And I like how they kill off Elise in the very first Insidious movie, but she has appeared in every single sequel, all 4 films. Classic. So that's pretty much it for the plot of the film. This film it's so insanely unbalanced. It has so many flaws, and I think the first half of the film is very, very strong. Really, some of the most unique scares and some great camera work, some awesome sound effects and music. I love the strings in the music. It's so effective. It really gives the whole movie a really unique feel. I think the music, the audio, the Tiny Tim song, all of the audio choices in this movie are a 10 out of 10. Audio is so important in a horror movie, and I think that's something that's really overlooked in a lot of other horror movies. And there's a lot of super talented people involved in this film. James Wan, who has really now created a name for himself in the horror genre. And I think a lot of it also has to do with his cinematographer that he uses. It's the same guy who is the director of photography for The Conjuring. I forget his name. And then the cast, Patrick Wilson and Rose Byrne, definitely the caliber of actor is a cut above what you usually see in these kinds of movies. I'm really torn on this film, man. It's really... Insidious 1 is kind of a guilty pleasure for me. I'm not afraid to admit that I like this film, but at the same time, it's so glaringly obvious where this movie falls short. It has a lot of flaws, but I still really like this movie nonetheless. I give this movie an 8 out of 10. I know a lot of people will probably disagree with that score, but I don't give a shit. There's something about this movie that I really enjoy. Anyways, that is going to be it for my review of the 2011 horror movie Insidious. For next episode of Fatal Film, I was thinking about what to watch. It's kind of the biggest challenge of Fatal Film is choosing the next movie, because there are so many that I want to check out. But, we're about 1 or 2 months away from the remake of Child's Play, so I think we should go back and watch the 1988 original Child's Play. So, we'll talk about the 1988 original Child's Play in 2 weeks' time. Don't forget to like, subscribe, all of that shit. Thank you guys so much for watching. Peace out.